Hello everyone, today I bring to you the number 60 Matchbox pipe truck. As you can see, it's got quite a lot of paint chips on it. The bottom doesn't look too bad, just in the grill area it looks a little like it's missing a bit of its silver paint. I'll be repainting that. And the blue paint is a little bit worn. This spot here where it looks a little weird is because I was trying to test paint out and I wiped it off, so it looks a little less shiny. That was my fault. But the rest of the paint chips were there and I got it. I think I got this one at a garage sale for super cheap. Probably paid less than a cent for it, honestly, because I used to get a huge bag for $1 at certain garage sales. But the wheels don't look too bad, and there's a decent amount of meat left on the axles, except for this one. This one has almost no meat left on it. It's gonna be difficult, so I might have to make new axles for it. And yeah, so let's see if I can restore this. Also, the paint that I usually use, which is now the Tamiya paint, the blue X4 is a little bit too dark for it, so I'm gonna have to mix some white to mix some paint up for this one. So the first step though will be to remove these two rivets, and then to remove the wheels using a Dremel. I'll drill out the rivets, and then I will use a stone wheel on the Dremel to remove the burr on the end of the axle. I'll show you when that's done. Well, as you can see, I was able to tap and drill this hole here, and I just drilled this one. This doesn't have enough meat on it to be tapped, and I don't think I'm going to need to mess with it because this one screw holds very well. It's in the center, and the back here really doesn't come out at all, so it should be fine. And I used this tip here. This tap has a nice tip on it that's pointed, but this one I just made. It has a flat tip on it. This is from a tap that I broke off one time. I flattened the top on it using the stone wheel on this. In case you're wondering, I used a number 12 drill bit to take the head off the rivet, and used a number 50 drill bit to make the hole to tap. Now, I just got this brand new Dremel, which I'm very happy to have. This one's extremely powerful, and it does a lot of work. It's very efficient to have. And I use this oil to tap with because it's never a good idea to tap without oil. I broke off the tap doing that. In case you're wondering how I made the tap, I just used this, and I use these as well for that, to hold them. These are locking pliers. I also use that to shorten this screw because this screw is a little bit too long. To put in the screw, I used a little Allen wrench. And also, this was the windshield that came out. The windshield and the base were glued into place somehow. I don't know exactly why. I don't know if it's some kind of putty or glue or what it was. It's green. They were like glued into place. And then there was the suspension plate that was in there as well. Those are all the parts to the model. The next step will be to remove the burrs on the axles. So let's see how that goes. Something else I thought I'd mention is I got this new vise. This one is a very nice vise. It's got plastic feet in it. I took some rags that are over there and put them over them anyway to make sure it didn't get hurt. I mean, the casting didn't get hurt. So it adjusts many different ways, as you can see. So you can change the direction. This will suction down to the table as well, which is pretty interesting. It doesn't work on this workbench for some reason. It works on the other ones though. I oiled it up a lot and it works very well, so I'm very happy to have this now. And it can adjust in so many different ways that I can use it for a lot of things. As you can see, the axles have been removed. This one right here is super difficult to remove because it's rusty here. I could not get the wheel to come off. I ended up spraying it again and again with some ZEP 2000. Sorry for the camera angle, let me lift that up. I had some ZEP 2000 and I used that to get it to free up. Took a lot of work, and also in the process of getting it to free up, I used these. Now this pair of pliers you may recognize because I found this while magnet fishing. So this exact pair of pliers are in my magnet fishing video, so I encourage you to check that out. I fixed them all up, and I don't have the video of me fixing them up, but they work very well. I've got them to free up. Now this was the stone wheel in my Dremel that I used. I found this one to work the best because I think it's the finest. So if I bump the wheels, it doesn't really scratch them right up. I really like that one. But now what must be done is these axles are way too short. There's no way that I'll be able to reform them. So I do happen to have a bag of rivets here, but these rivets are also really, they have problems because the diameter of them is way too large. They're not going to fit into the wheels. So I'm going to see if my dad has any more at work that are smaller, or if not, I'll have to order some new ones. But anyway, these wheels are in good shape, so I should be able to put them back on. The axles I can't, obviously, and this base looks pretty good. Probably for the base, I'm going to repaint this part and leave this piece here, like all the bottom, the same color, because this is the only spot that's in bad shape. And I'm gonna have to paint match for this, so I'll paint match, then strip it, then I'll paint this. So see when that's all done. As you remember from my previous video, probably, I mixed the paint for these together. And as you can see, I kind of got the paint a little bit too dark still, even though I kind of accepted it and put it in there. I might put a little bit of white when I mix it up in the airbrush just to get it a little bit closer, but for now this is the color that I got that's on the roof, and I think it'll work. So see how it looks like when I paint strip it and it's down to the bare metal. As you can see, basically all the paint has been removed from the body of the casting. Just a slight amount left, and that's mostly on this bottom edge here, where it doesn't really matter because the base will cover this all up. Looks pretty good. It's hard to get in here. I'm gonna hope when I go over with the brass wheel that it'll get all the paint out of there. Speaking of the brass wheel, on my last model I redid, this is what was left of it. I definitely recommend getting a higher quality brass wheel, as this one tore up like very fast. I didn't do even all too much before this happened. I'm gonna have to buy a new brass wheel now, I guess, so hopefully that comes in soon. But I'm gonna start by sanding all the imperfections. Like this is a bit beat up on this edge here, and I'm gonna work a little bit on the grill area here and the edges of the windshield and stuff like that. So hopefully that won't take long, and be ready to polish up the body with the brass wheel. That'll hopefully I'll get a new one, and yeah, let's see what it looks like after it's been all polished up. As you may remember, these were the axles that were on the car, and they're a bit too short to put back in. So I made these brass axles. Now I peened the tip of this with my hammer and the vise here. I have a nut at the bottom because it's not quite long enough, so I put a nut in there to hit it with. I mean, to hit, like, so it didn't slide down through the vise, because this vise isn't the sturdiest. Now to make these a nice rounded tip, because as you can see, if this will focus, it's got a overhang there on the edge because it's peened well. But these ones have a mushroom end, and I want a more round end on them. So to do that, I use this tool here in the drill press. It's got a hole drilled on both sides. I think this is the smaller side. I usually use the deeper one for this. But this tool will get removed, and I'll put the axle into the chuck and press it up on the bottom of the axle, and it will round the tip of it. And then once I've done that, I will put the wheels on it and put it through the base. And I will put the tool back in the chuck like this with the smaller hole on the bottom, with this either this nail here or the bolt here to hold the bottom of the car. And we'll push this down to reform the second end. So hopefully this all goes well, and I'll show you what the base looks like once it has the wheels on it. With the wheels back on the car, I realized that the wheels are kind of dirty in the edges of them, especially this one's got some gunk in it. So I'm gonna throw them in this water, and I'm gonna scrub them with a toothbrush to get them nice and clean. Well, as you can see, everything went as planned. There's nice mushroom end right here and right here. And everything appears to come out really good, and the other ends form well as well. As you can see, the repainted grill looks quite nice. I didn't repaint the whole thing because the whole thing didn't need to be fixed. But yeah, I like using this brass rod for the axles. It works pretty well. So next step will be to work more on the body. It's been a while since I got around to painting this, but I finally got the chance to paint the hut truck here. As you can see, I wasn't content with how it came out on the flatbed of the truck, so I actually clear coated this. Now the reason it took so long is because that paint that I showed you before that I mixed up for it, I kind of lost that and had to mix up some paint. Here's a sneak peek of a restoration I'm doing right now. Now this was started like a long time ago from when this video is coming out,
because obviously you'll see that a car that I was doing at the same time this came out very long ago. That's because I just got delayed because of losing the paint. But I think it came out looking pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't have the hut to put on it, but it's now time to put it all back together. So let's see how it all turns out. So here are all of the parts of the truck. So basically the way this goes together was this suspension plate went in about here. And then this, actually you can't forget the windshield. The windshield goes directly into here. And then this pillar, I believe, went right through the suspension plate, right here, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, just like that. And then the base went on so that these two pegs in the suspension plate went over the axles. So, let's see if this will snap back into place. Nope, I need to get the front. You gotta get these headlights and grille to fit in the front. And there it goes, snapped into place. So now I need to put this screw in that I tapped out. The back I think will hold because it snapped into place, and it should hold tight enough that I'm not going to need to glue it or anything, but I'll just test it out real quick as soon as I get the screw in place. Yeah, that should hold pretty good, I think, in the back. And there we are, all finished with the hut truck.
So, as you remember, this is what we started with. It had a bunch of scratches in the paint, and it really wasn't looking too terribly great. But now, it has been redone, and it looks like this. Hope you enjoyed watching this restoration, and you'll leave a like and subscribe for more. Thank you.